showdown between Errol Spence Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. As most, if not all of you watching this already know, Spence pulled out because of a retinal tear, but the show is still on. Yordenis Ugas is stepping in as a replacement opponent. Ugas himself was scheduled to appear on the undercard, but his scheduled opponent, Fabian Maidana, pulled out with an injury of his own. So just over a week away, barring unforeseen disaster, boxing fans will get Pacquiao versus Ugas. Ironically, Ugas is the WBA super champion at welterweight, so Pacquiao will be competing for the very same belt he won against Keith Thurman, a belt he never actually lost inside the ring. Ugas defeated Abel Ramos by 12-round split decision last September to win the minor WBA regular title. And then the WBA promoted him to super duper status after they stripped Pacquiao for inactivity. And this isn't meant as a criticism for Pacquiao or Ugas or any other WBA title holder. They're just playing by the rules of today. But this entire situation is just another example of how ridiculous the WBA and other alphabet bodies have become. All things considered, Ugas is a tremendous replacement opponent at this late hour. Indeed, this actually might wind up being a far more competitive matchup than we may have gotten between Spence and Pacquiao. Regardless, this is an interesting fight if for no other reason. We will get to see how much the living legend still has left in the tank at 42 years old, going on 43. And really, that's the story of this fight. How much does Pacquiao have left? It's a very similar story with Spence, except theoretically at least, Spence posed a bigger threat. But the main dynamic here is still the same, and perhaps even more pronounced. The outcome in this one likely boils down to simply how much Pac-Man has left. Of course, Pacquiao was preparing to do battle against a fellow southpaw, and that dynamic has changed. Style-wise, it's different too. In some ways, it reminds me of the situation when Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko agreed to meet on short notice, where Lewis was preparing to defend his championship against Kirk Johnson, and Vitaly was set to be featured on the undercard against Cedric Boswell. Lennox and Vitaly and Boswell deserved credit for saving the show then. And even though the situation isn't exactly the same, Ugas and Pacquiao deserve a lot of credit too. But I don't expect a change of opponent and stance will trouble a seasoned proven warrior like Pacquiao. Ugas is a talented boxer. He has a good jab, he doesn't neglect the body, he's pretty sound defensively, and he has a good overall understanding of discovering and maintaining his range. Aside from his victory against Ramos to win the WBA regular belt, his most notable bout was his first title shot 2.5 years ago against Shawn Porter. Showtime Porter retained his WBC welterweight title when he defeated Ugas by 12-round split decision. The decision, however, was not without controversy. Many, if not most observers believed Ugas deserved the victory against Porter. So even though Ugas is the champion heading into this one, this is undoubtedly the biggest fight of his career. Ugas has the skills and smarts that if he brings his A game and fights a disciplined fight where he is defensively responsible, he actually does have a lot of tools that have been known to cause Pacquiao some problems. But this all circles back to the question of how much Pacquiao has left in the tank. Assuming Pacquiao doesn't get old overnight, it is still very difficult to imagine him putting forth the same type of tremendous effort that he did in his victory against Keith Thurman more than 2 years ago. In that sense, I had a difficult time envisioning a scenario where he would be able to defeat an elite-level operator like Errol Spence Jr. But against Ugas, I do believe Pacquiao will have enough left to have a real chance here, but I don't think it will necessarily be easy, especially if Ugas can make it through the early rounds without being seriously hurt. If Ugas can avoid a firefight in the early going and turn this into more of a technical chess match, I think he might have a real shot here. That being said, for me, I do believe Pacquiao will have just enough in the tank that he will emerge victorious. So for my official prediction, I am taking Manny Pacquiao by a clear but competitive 12-round unanimous decision. I believe Ugas will make a far stronger account of himself here than many are expecting, but I do think he will fall short for his efforts. Whatever happens, I am actually looking forward to this, and may the best man win on that night. And here's to hoping for a full and speedy recovery for Errol Spence Jr. So who do you think will win between Yordenis Ugas and Manny Pacquiao? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching, everyone.